Welcome to my kitchen.
You're all in for a treat today.
Just going to take this opportunity and make myself a cup of coffee while we're all converging.
Who's got a handmade coffee mug to show us?
I do. I have a Ryan Greenheck coffee mug.
Very nice. I have a Martha Grover. These are available at the Peters Valley Gallery. In full disclosure, I already drank my coffee this morning and should not drink more coffee, so I'm drinking water.
And this is Romulus Craft mug.
Wonderful.
I have
It's my hand.
a lidded cap because I spill my coffee all over, so I'm not allowed to drink except out of one of these sippy cups.
Well, Deb, let me show you, because I happen to have them in the gallery. We got these new mugs from Deb Kaplan. She was one of our virtual craft fair artists, and they have like to-go lids on them. Wait, where am I on the video? So I think you're gonna need one of these. And who's wearing their Ricky of Luna Parc jewelry?
I wore it yesterday.
I'm wearing my earrings, if you can see them. These are from my personal collection.
I have a necklace that Ricky saw at a Peters Valley show in real life. And he said, "Oh, this is vintage." And I said, "But so am I."
I remember that. Exactly.
So without further ado, I think we're gonna hand it over to Ricky. So if you can all just mute your audio. And welcome, Ricky of Luna Parc. Ricky's gonna give us the tour.
Hi. Welcome to Saturday morning at Luna Parc. So I don't know how many of you have actually been to my home Luna Parc, but I'm going to give you a little bit of history. So this, let's see, I'm going to try to get it so that I can see both of you. Okay, so it was the winter of, here, I'll just do this, 89. The driveway with my realtor. And as soon as I laid eyes on this house, dilapidated hunting cabin, I knew that this would be the place I would spend the rest of my life. So the night of my closing, it was June of 1989, and I sit here that night ripping out the paneling, and there were all these mattresses and anything that I could pull out of the house, I did, and and it has not stopped now for 31 years. So if you can see before and after, or before and current, I should say, and the original 600 square feet of the house turned into close to 5,000 feet. And now it's, as you can see behind me, it's multi-levels and all theme rooms and filled with art, artifacts, and oddities from all my travels around the world. So probably the most frequently asked question people want to know is, like, did I have this idea? Did I want to do this to the house? I have like a grand scheme. And it's absolutely not. Now, I was 28 years old. And like I said, when I saw the house, I knew that this was going to be the place I would spend the rest of my life. And I had that youthful enthusiasm. But what I also came with was a lot of hand skills. So I claim that since I grew up in a family of Italian artisans, that's where I got my skill set. So at about age, I'd say 7 or so, my dad taught me how to use a jigsaw. And that was the first tool that I really knew pretty well. And wood was the first medium that I really understood. And like from artisans. So I'm gonna put my camera and do a little bit of a walking tour. I'll try to walk slowly so that we don't lose our reception. So as you can see, here was the original house, still pretty much intact. Of course, I added a few cosmetic details. And then in 1994, I broke ground for the first addition to the house, which was my bathroom, which I will show you in a little while when we go back inside. And then in 2005, I broke ground for this addition, where I quadruple, maybe even more quintuple the size of the original house. So you can see it's multi-level, and each facade has its own material. There's some copper, there's some galvanized steel, some stucco, and then lots and lots of mosaic. So I would say that mosaic is probably the most prominent feature of the house. And here are some of my original tile work, the set of steps that I did about 30 years ago. And so now coming around. So now from this angle of the house, Brienne, how's my connection?
It's very blurry. Is there anything?
Oh, okay, how about this? If I, I might be walking a little too fast.
Oh.
Yeah, and it might be with the outside. It's a little not
choppy.
so clear, but I don't know that it will be.
Okay, how does that look? Is it a little clearer?
It's a little clearer.
Okay. Yeah, I think if I just not move so fast. Okay, so here I'm just gonna go inside then, and we'll take a little inside tour now. And okay, so here we are in my kitchen. Does that look a little more clear?
It's a little bit more clear.
Okay, I'll try to slow down a little bit.
I don't think it's ever gonna look like a high definition video camera like television.
Well.
Okay, all right.
So you're all gonna have to go to Ricky's open house when
Yeah.
he just had one, I think, by appointment, right? So Ricky, will you do one in the
Yeah, I have tours of the exterior going on. In fact, actually later today, I'm opening by appointment. And if the weather holds out, then I'll continue to do it on selected days.
Yeah.
I usually post that on Facebook. So here's the first addition to the house. So this was my bathroom. At the time, it was the largest room in the house. And so Luna Parc is very close to Peters Valley. It's about 5 miles right from the store in the town of Sandyston in New Jersey. So here are a few of the special features of the bathroom. Yeah, it's actually Sandyston Township. So here are, okay, so this project was 5 years. So this was 1994 to 1999, and it took every bit of that. You can see the walls and the floor are all mosaic. How's that? How's the reception here?
I think it's pretty good.
Okay, good. All right, so okay, so then as I mentioned, so then in 2005 is when I broke ground, and now this part of the house is quite grand. The ceilings are all very tall. And as you could see, there's this giant skylight up the ceiling. It's 10 foot by 8 foot. And here, let's see. I'm just giving you like a little bit of an overview of everything that's in the house. And here's my mosaic floor.
And it can never be everything because there are just so many little details.
Yeah, there's lots and lots of layers. It's really hard to get it in on this little screen, but much better in person. So I'm going to see how the reception is. Brienne, let me know if this is really not showing up. Or I'm going to try to move a little slower.
Yeah, we can see that for sure, I think.
Okay. Because now the further I get away from my route, the worse.
Oh boy. Yeah, we're getting a little shaky there.
All the work I've done, cutting of the board, all the construction.
We've lost you, Ricky. You've frozen. Well, we had the same issue this morning. That's why I'm set up by the window.
Hey, Brianna,
Oh, we've got him. We've got it back.
Okay, sorry, the Wi-Fi, the internet here is so substandard, and so I had to walk closer. So
Yeah, we certainly can relate to that here at Peters Valley in the national park.
well, it's the whole area. There's a monopoly. I'm not even going to go into it. But, there's nothing we can do about it. So anyway, actually, if anyone has any questions about what you've seen so far, I can answer them. And then I'm going to take a little break, and I'm going to go up to my studio, and then I'll show you some more of the work up there. But there'll be definitely a lag in between the two routers. So what was that question? Oops, sorry.
Somebody asked how long it takes to clean everything.
Years. So, and I usually only did it twice a year when I would have my open house. So I would do a sweep. I'd start in one corner and work around the house. And in about 2 years, I would make an entire loop. So it's in desperate need of cleaning right now. It doesn't look like it, there's so many objects everywhere. So yes, I do vacuum. Vacuuming is actually the only chore that I really actually enjoy. But otherwise, no. If you look very close, you'll see that everything is quite dusty. So.
And somebody asked, is that a wood oven in the kitchen? It's green?
A wood oven. The wood stove. That. That's right. Thank you. Yes, exactly. That's a wood stove. I think that was what she was referring to. That is a wood stove. It's one of the supplemental heat sources here. So.
And so behind you, Ricky, on those shelves, that's all corks, right?
Oh yes. So here, I'll flip around. Yeah. So these are all wine bottle corks. None of the bottles, well, very few of the bottles that I actually consume. These are all from donations. And I would say there's probably 20,000 corks. Okay, sorry.
Oh, that's the green. I think that the Karen is asking about this green square that you have that's in the view right now. What is that?
Oh, no, that's funny. No, it's a pass-through that goes into my pantry with the refrigerator inside and a little bell that you could ring. Of course, no one comes, but.
You were ringing that bell. I was like, you have a bell?
So what was that question? Do I still take donations of items? Was that what I saw?
Yeah,
yes.
Do you still take those little plastic bits?
Oh yeah, so I have 3 major things on my wish list right now. Bowling balls, wooden yardsticks, and license plates. I'm hoarding license plates. I'm gonna be starting to cover a couple of my facades with license plates. So here's actually, let's see if we can do this. Here's what I did with yardsticks.
Cool.
So I've been taking them, cutting them, not quite doing a mosaic, but it's sort of like an intarsia. Cut them into different patterns. And these are all the yardsticks, sort of like fun wainscoting. And then, and these steps are all inlaid. This is all poplar that I cut, and then I cut the pieces and then set it back into like a bed of wood glue. So there's the whole steps. Yes, I'll be showing some jewelry in a few minutes when I go up to the workshop. Actually, and some of my new ceramic work.
I love your copper pipe handrail. We're actually about to do that same idea on our outdoor deck. And so I'm like, oh, there it is. I recognize that. Awesome.
Yes, actually, someone just asked, I do have 2 cats. And I believe that here's my.
Oh, we're losing you. I think he's showing us his cat. You've frozen, Ricky. You're kind of frozen.
Oh, and say that again.
You're frozen and you were breaking up. Okay, now we can see.
Okay, yeah, that was in a dead spot. Okay, so this is one of my favorite rooms in the house also. This is also the original part of the house. I call this my Hall of Hats. So one of my most favorite passions really is traveling. And I've been all over Asia, mainly Southeast Asia, China, India. And I always collect hats from wherever I go. And these are hats from all over Asia. They're from Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, Laos, Tibet. And so I've assembled them and been putting them all into display cases.
How many different collections of things do you think you have?
Oh my goodness. I'm not even sure. I collect collections, but so these are actually some uniforms that I collect as well. So the one here on the left is my friend Joe Hull. That's his dress Marines uniform from the 70s. This is my friend Donald Hall, who grew up right here in Sandiston. That's his Eagle Scout uniform. And here's a Russian soldier's uniform. Some garments from Morocco. And here are a few other uniforms of people that I've known over the years. Outfit that I wear on high holidays. And here's a great collection. So I was fortunate to have known Beatrice Wood, and this is my collection of the pieces of hers that I've collected from over the years. So someone mentioned the chair. Was it this chair you were talking about?
Yes.
Which I had. Okay, so this was an antique chair. It was missing all of its webbing. So I decided to make this chair, re-web it with old belts. So I've been hoarding belts. So I'm actually going to start making the actual frame chair with made out of rebar, and then web them with belts. So you can see all different belts.
And somebody asked, what is the spiral mosaic floor made of?
Oh, this is all it's all like a high fire ceramic. So here, let me zoom in a little bit.
Where do you get your clothing for the people? For the I guess for the mannequins. You said they were friends?
Oh, well, I would say, yeah, most of the mannequins are dressed with items of that I've either been given of people that I know, or something like in this case. This is a garment that I bought in Morocco, in Marrakesh. It's a men's festival garment. So I have right down to the kind of the undergarments as well on this one. Hey, Brianne, what was that last question?
Somebody asked if do you ever need broken china for your mosaics?
Not really. I do mostly it's tile, and mostly porcelain tile. That is usually what's the most useful for. I mean, the style that I do. I don't generally use broken china or broken plate or anything.
I'll interject. My mom does mosaics with broken china. So if you have some and anybody wants, you can get in touch with me. and my mom would love them.
Okay, so I think that I am going to start walking up to the workshop, and I will probably most likely fade out for a sec. But here, actually, I'll give you a little tour of outside. Hopefully, now this is a little bit hard to see. How is my reception here?
It's a little hard to see, but it's okay.
Okay, so here's a fountain that I made this summer. And
I think it's a little hard to see it, but you have a video on Facebook or Instagram with that in action.
Yeah, there's definitely all kinds of different, some social media of all these projects. So a project, this was all made from the the salvaged copper from all the different renovations from my plumbing. So now here's a fun project also. So this is a new bread oven that I built with my friend Paul Clem, who some people know. And this is an outdoor kitchen. So I refer to this as my summer kitchen. And hopefully next year, my plan is to start offering courses in culinary arts. So these are all prep tables, and it's all about cooking and food prep. And eventually you can see that this will all be covered with mosaic as well.
Wow.
And I've just started. I've just begun. Here's some pieces that I make. These are some of my ceramic pieces. And these will actually be mounted on the, like the corners of the oven. So these are all carved in using a special type of clay. And a squirrel. The squirrel will also be mounted on the side of the oven. So, okay, so I'm gonna take a walk up to the shop.
I'll entertain them with showing them all the jewelry that we have for sale here, Ricky's.
Okay, good. And I will be back in about 3 or 4 minutes.
Okay. So Lakota, maybe you can spotlight my video. Okay. Hi, everyone. And I think if somebody asked, my mom is the one with the mosaics. So my name is Brienne. My email is gallery@petersvalley.org. So you can reach out to me there. Lakota put in the chat the link for the collection of work that we have available of Ricky's. So some of it we have here, and then some of it is in his studio. So if anybody has questions about any of those pieces, they're, what I love about Ricky's work is that some of them are articulated. This is a beetle sculpture, and you can see like all the legs move, and they're just so playful and fun. So I don't know if anybody has questions they want to ask us that maybe we can answer about any of the work while we're waiting for him. He's got a whole collection of kitchen charms. So again, some like the can opener, if you can see this, articulates, and they're all separate. They can be earrings, or you can wear them as a charm. We put rings on them instead. And when you see the kitchen charms online, and now that you've seen his kitchen, you can definitely see that correlation. So,
Yeah, Brienne, I'm back.
you're back. Okay, we can spotlight you.
Okay, great.
I think can Lakota, or maybe I can do it. Spotlight video. All right, and somebody, let's see, has a question. Would love to learn to make the ceramic pieces. Each charm is handmade.
What's the question?
Okay, it says, would love to learn how to make those ceramic pieces. Is each charm handmade?
Yes, I make all the pieces myself. Here's one of my favorite pieces. It's a, how does that look? Can you see that pretty well? Yeah. Okay, so this is my Sardine Can Pendant. And what's interesting about this actually appeared in a dream. And I was actually sitting at my workbench creating this piece. Everything from how the eyes of the fish in the sardines are actually the rivets that hold the fish in, and the key turns, and it was all in the dream. And this was a very interesting dream. Yeah, I love this piece. And I'm not sure, Brienne, do you have one of these in stock?
I don't. We've had them before because I love that piece, but we don't currently have one.
Okay, well, I'll send one over at some point. Great. And then here's another fun piece. So here's my little kind of retro vintage toaster, and it features popping toast.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a real simple mechanism. I have 8.5 acres altogether. Okay. Here's a great piece. Here, let me set this one up. I wanted to make myself a charm, a mousetrap charm, and I was starting to make it, and I thought, wow, wouldn't it be great if it actually worked? So I figured it out. I actually had I hand make these springs with the gold-filled wire. I actually have to wind them, and here is now a working mousetrap pendant. So that's one of my favorite pieces.
Somebody asked, how long does it take to make a sardine can?
A sardine can? Well, this is what's complicated, is that I make all of my models in metal. So I personally, I don't like wax. A lot of jewelers make a lot of their pieces in wax. I don't like wax. I hate wax. So all of my originals are all made generally in copper, but they're all made in metal. And that's how I can work out all the details. So, gosh, sometimes I don't even keep track of how long the original models take, but I'm going to say probably 12 to 15 hours to make the original like working models. Now, if I go to something like this is my, probably my most favorite piece that I've ever made. So it is a crayfish lobster, they're cousins. This piece is fully articulated. This has 26 moving parts, even down to the claws. The claws are actually jointed also. So I know for a fact this was about 60 hours of work to make the original mechanical model. Yeah,
So,
this is one of my most favorite pieces that I've ever made.
and so now, so a lot of them you're working with cast parts, but do you still then have to take all of those cast parts and put them together?
Yeah, so like in a piece like this is about, yeah, so I make the original model, make sure it all works together, then I dismantle it. I have to put the gates, the sprues onto it, and then I make a mold. So it's a vulcanized rubber mold. This one is about 12 different molds. And then wax gets injected inside these rubber molds, and then those are then cast with the lost wax process. So so that's and then then I take all those molds. All the pieces have to be. I have a tumbler. I have a series of tumblers that do all the finishing, and then each piece has to be assembled.
I can't even imagine just the organizing of all of those molds for every little part for each.
Yeah, I know, it's amazing. Brianne, actually, most of the questions are cut off. I don't see the full question. What was that last question?
Well, just asked about the crawfish and how long it took to create the crawfish. So you asked that, you answered that.
Yeah, about 60 hours to make that original model. Now, that big beetle you had, which I think I have one up here too. The big Hieronymus beetle. Oh yeah, I have one here. The one that you had in the store has some silver. This is a full bronze. This is actually a brooch also. This one seemed to take forever. I don't know why, but I kept putting this one aside, and I'd go back to it. It was over the course of about a year. Oh, good. You have the Mantis. Yeah, that's a great piece.
And fact, so for the texture on the back of this, did you do, that was like one piece of metal cut soldered on the other one?
Yeah, so those are all sweat soldered on.
Cool.
It's actually sweat soldered before it gets hammered out. So a lot of these pieces are done by repoussé. So they're done in, you know, the gooey, sticky pine pitch. Here's a piece. So this is a bumblebee. Yep. And so you can see the back. This is actually a pin and pendant combination. So the main part, the body, was done by the process of repoussé. So flat sheet is then laid in the gooey pine pitch, and then I use a series of these little chisels and a hammer, tapping to create the shape. The wings are then etched. Let's see, where's my camera? My camera's over here. The wings are etched using ferric chloride. So that's etched right into the mold itself, or into the model, I say, which is in the mold. So that's how I get the texture of that. So my schooling started in high school. So I was very fortunate in the mid-'70s. I grew up in Piscataway, New Jersey, and they built us a brand new high school with a fine arts wing. Now, what we had a jewelry program in Piscataway High School, which was pretty remarkable. But they were pouring a lot of money into the arts, and it was really where I got my real start. I had a jewelry course all 4 years when I was in high school. So that's where I got my main foundation, starting from like when I was 14 years old. So so now I've been making jewelry for, let's see, 44 years, I think. Yeah. Here's a squirrel with a little flipping tail. You pull the acorn and his tail flips. Yep. And you can see the texture is, etched into there also. So then after high school, I went to the Rhode Island School of Design, and I majored in metals. At that point, it was just kind of a general metals degree. So you could do jewelry, you could do fine, like silversmithing, and you could also do small sculpture. So my focus really was in sculpture. I was really interested in silversmithing and hollowware, and I did my thesis project in forming and raising. I did do some jewelry during high school years, but my focus was really more like in the raising and repoussé. So I realized very, very, very quickly, right after college, I did ship a gold, and I realized very quickly that I was not going to be able to support myself with my my raising, my hollowware and the sculpture. So I kind of made a segue back into jewelry, but you know, I had an interest in these very complex pieces, incorporating my basic metalworking skills to create these basically small scale sculptures. So this praying mantis is really, it's one of my best. I think out of all the insect pieces, this one really captures the kind of the essence. Now, going back to that, so when I was in high school, I was equally interested in science, and very specifically entomology, the study of insects, and art. So I thought that I might head into biology and go into, you know, more like academics, but I realized that that would have been a very, very big mistake. So fortunately, my right brain took over, and I pursued my career in the arts. And but you know, fortunately now I am still doing my entomology. So here's a lovely dragonfly pin with articulated wings. So these are all made of sterling silver and bronze.
And the pieces that Ricky's showing you, we can paste it again in the chat, this collection page. These are available for purchase. So the crayfish is there, and there was another one that you had just showed, the bee.
Oh, the Bumblebee, yes, right?
They're all there. And if anybody wants to see any of those pieces specifically and see how they articulate, we can show you that.
Oops, I'm sorry, I just dropped a piece. So these are horseshoe crabs. And you can see that they are articulated. The silver one is a pendant, and this bronze, oops, I dropped it again, I'm sorry, is a pin. But this is also done by the process of repoussé. So this was just flat sheet, flat copper, laid it into the gooey, sticky pine pitch, and then tapped and hammered to create the shape. Now, in one of my rooms, I call it the nature lab, and it's filled with insects and crustacean shells, skulls, you name it. There's all kinds of things in there. And it's a great resource because like I have horseshoe crab shells, so I'll take that out, and that's actually, I actually use that exact piece as a model. So that's why for me, as a scientist, dilettante scientist, I want them to be as accurate as possible, or as accurate as is practical. What was that last comment? I didn't see that, Brienne.
Somebody just said horseshoe crabs are such wonderful animals.
Yeah, and they're ancient. You know, they've basically been unchanged for millions of years. So here's a great garden spider. So I actually make these in earrings. This one actually is a ring, but I make them as earrings also. They're really cool as earrings. I have terrible arachnophobia, but this is a great piece. I've kind of worked out my arachnophobia on these.
And Ricky, can you talk a little bit about, like, you work a lot with, well, probably people can't see my video, but vintage glass to bring
Yes,
some color
exactly.
yeah,
I have a couple pieces right
too, where, not to depart from animal, if everybody wants to keep asking questions about insects, please feel free. I just wanted him to get to that because I think that those are really fun also. Yeah,
so you know, of course, I went to RISD it's in Providence, Rhode Island. Now, Providence, Rhode Island was the jewelry capital of the world from the mid to late 1800s all the way up through the middle of the 20th century, and then the industry started dying out somewhat. So, but all of this stuff that's in the component parts from the jewelry industry are still in Providence, and there are different places where you can still buy the components. So over the years, I've gathered up quite a nice collection. Now, these are all vintage glass stones. And basically, I treat them as if they are, natural stones. I make bezels for all the pieces. These are all kind of mosaic, moonstones, just different glass, and they're all glass for the most part. And I put them together in many, many different ways. Here's a wonderful piece I coordinated with all of my sort of reds and browns. What was that question, Brienne?
Pretty stones, where do you get them? So
yeah. So Providence, Rhode Island is where these are. They're still kind of like stuck in Providence. They're stuck in time, and there are a couple different sources for them. They are running low, though. It's no, not taken. Nope. These have never been set. They're all in their original packages. And
do you buy them by the box full, or they're all individual, or like you just buy loads of them?
Yeah, you know what? Depends. Sometimes I'll buy literally like a little handful of them, and then sometimes I'll buy many gross of them. It really depends. I found some wonderful, like really amazing glass stones over the years that I buy like a little handful, and then that's it. I mean, literally. And I've gone back and asked about some of them, and they said, no, those are all gone. They're like gone. So some of them are a little bit more abundant, and they were manufactured a little bit, bigger quantities. A lot of them came from the Rhine region, Germany, Austria, a lot from Romania. And then later on, as time went on, then they were kind of like Japan, Hong Kong took over. And then a lot of things are now made in China. But a lot of the original stones they were actually handmade. Here's a fun piece also. These are all vintage glass beads also. This is my Doggie in the window piece. Here, I'll try to hold it. Yeah.
Can you all see that? It's not crystal clear, but I can see that little dog face. That's cute.
Yep. Oh, here it's. I think it's not focusing too much.
Pretty good. I think.
Yeah, it's great.
It's good to see you're gonna get.
Great. And let's see. Going back to some of the charms now. So I know there's you have Peters Valley's got a great selection of the charms. And here's a necklace of. This is all my kitchen charms. Actually, there's about 40 kitchen charms in the collection. There's a little set of measuring spoons, the chinoise strainer, a bundt pan, a grater. Yeah, and these are all handmade. I make all of these. I construct all of these from copper. And like this teacup, for example, was just all flat sheet, and I domed it and kind of cut and carved, made the handle. This box cheese grater was also made just a flat sheet, and I constructed it and constructed in copper. This little muffin tin.
We have one of the springform pan. I love that one.
Yep, and here's a potato masher. What was that comment? Hey, Brianne, can you recite? Repeat the comments, because I can't see the full screen.
Yes, absolutely. Well, somebody says it's not I don't know if it's a question or not, a specific shop for the glass beads. I think you said you got them from a couple places, right?
Yeah. Let's see. There's Pontiac Treasures is one of the names of the shops. I don't know anything about if they're open. I haven't been up there at all this year, so I don't know how the pandemic is, if they're even in business. Maybe they've shut down for now. I don't know. I know one is called Pontiac Treasures, and they do have other ones. So is the Doggie in the window? What was the question?
Yeah, so somebody says that is it available? I don't know if we have that available on our collection, but maybe you have it.
Yeah, it's on my website for sure, lunaparc.com. Yep.
And then somebody just got a pin with kitchen charms hanging from it, so that's fun. Somebody wants to hear about the items behind you at some point. A couple people were asking about those face pots.
Yep. Well, yeah, I'll talk about those in a second.
And then somebody says, will there be a time to see your work studio space, and did you construct the rebar shelves? Does need a torch for that? Does one need a torch for that?
For doing what?
Maybe for making the shelves? I'm not, the rebar, yes, the rebar.
Oh, the rebar behind me? So this is a shelf. Actually, this was when I was traveling to craft shows with my ceramic work. In fact, actually, that was maybe like 12, 15 years ago. I did the Peters Valley craft show with just pottery. One year I just took pottery. I didn't take any jewelry. And this was my traveling display. So that actually all collapses. The wood shelves come out, and those rebar, the rebar units collapse. And it was
and did you weld them? Like, how did you make the rebar? I guess they're asking with the torch. Did you weld them together?
The weld, yeah. I made a jig to bend them, bend them in specific shapes, and I weld them. Yeah, I have a full welding studio also. I do a lot of welding and plasma cutting. So,
yeah, I was gonna say all the it was hard to see outside, but Ricky's got all these fountains and wind chimes and different outdoor kinetic pieces that are all, plasma cut and welded.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to look at, on this little screen. But the best thing is to look and see when my open houses will be, and then you could linger and absorb all the details.
And he's got, like we said, on social media, on Instagram and Facebook, he's got some videos of them too to check out. So is it just Luna Parc? How do they find you on social media?
Okay, so Instagram is Ricky of Luna Parc. Now, make sure you spell Luna Parc is LunaParc. Okay, so a little history of Luna Parc was my senior year in college. I went to part of RISD was in Rome, Italy. So there was an amusement park outside of the city limits of Rome. My friends and I used to go, and it was very sentimental. So when I was trying to figure out what could I possibly name my property, I remembered this little amusement park, and it's PARC. And it wasn't until years later that I even knew that the original Luna Park was actually Coney Island, and that was PARK. But my Luna Park is PARC. It's the Italian spelling of park. So if you go to lunapark.com, that's my website. Ricky of Luna Parc is my Instagram, and Facebook. Ricky Boscarino's Luna Parc is Facebook. So
Lakota put the Instagram in the chat.
Yeah, I saw that. Great, thank you, Lakota. So now let me make a segue. So I've always had an interest in ceramics, and generally I started out doing pieces that were made on the potter's wheel. And my particular interest is glaze making. I love the chemistry of glaze technology. I think from my passion of being a science nerd. So I set out making pottery, and very specifically the surface. So when I met Beatrice Wood, I even told her, I said, I want to be just like you when I grew up. And she laughed, and we actually we stayed in contact for, I guess, about 4 years before she died. And I figured out how to do this this metallic luster surface, and it's complex. It's both low tech and high tech at the same time. But I've developed a whole range of different glazes. So generally,
someone asked, are you a George Orr fan?
I love George Orr. Yeah, I've been to the George Orr Museum in Biloxi, Mississippi, several times. So you can see some of the colors, and this one's really quite beautiful. I just started posting some of these the vessels on my website also. But that's a beautiful glaze. This blue was very, very complicated. I mean, you can see it's got a lot of iridescence to it. Here's another one that's has a lot of reds. This is actually a really thin copper wire that melts into the glaze. I wrap it around and then fire it. It melts into the glaze, and this gets reduced. So it's a heavy, heavy reduction, and then it turns red in reduction, the wires. So these were all made on the potter's wheel, and I never had particularly any real instruction on how to throw. So I just kind of like managed, and I kind of taught myself. So I always said that centering is overrated, which works for me. And about 10 years ago, I started making what I call the face pots. They were inspired by some of the face jugs from the time of slaves would make these face jugs. There's a whole long history of face jugs and face pots. And I'd say about 2 years ago, I really started going full steam ahead with this concept. So behind me there's a whole wall of face jugs, face pots. So these are all made on the wheel initially, and then the shape will kind of dictate what kind of a face it turns into. Let's see, here's some.
Somebody asked, do you mentor so your techniques aren't lost?
I do. Actually, I'll segue into more of an explanation in a sec, but I do. I have a lot of students that come for learning. I teach workshops, and we do a lot of teaching through a nonprofit, my nonprofit, which I'll explain more about. Here, if anyone knows the movie Planet of the Apes, this is Dr. Zira. So I'll use pop culture sometimes. Here is Andy Warhol wearing his silver wig, and his friend Jean-Michel Basquiat. So let's see. Let me see some of the newer ones. Oh, here's a fun one. Here's a rhinoceros. Now these are all glazed inside, so they're intended to be used. They can all be used as a vase, a bud vase, or sometimes people buy them for pencils or even toothbrushes. So, let's see. Here's recent one, Paul Bunyan. And let's see. There's some fun kind of abstract ones.
So do you, if you make one, because they're all different.
Yeah, they're all one of a kind. There's no molds and all, but I will do, I'll do versions of certain ones, such as, this is kind of my favorite theme, is to do Uncle Sam. Here's African-American Uncle Sam. So I'll do repeats of different themes. This is one of my favorite themes, is Uncle Sam. So these are both, they're both glazed inside. So these can be used. And you know, for me, functionality is really important, and has always been an important aspect of all my work, is that I really intend things to be used, and I make things that people can use inside the house. Now, not to say that everything is completely practical, but they are intended to be used. This is the Gorton's Fish Stick Man. Fish stick and fisherman. And let's see, here's some fun, there's a little mouse and a bunny, a little metal tail. Yeah, and occasionally they'll have metal parts depending on what's going on. And these are all available on my website. I have about probably 120, I think, posted right now. Let's see, Diana Ross.
Do you still have your memorial to Brel?
Oh, to my cat, Jacques Brel. Yep, that's definitely, yeah, that's still outside. It's actually needing a little renovation, which is the case with a lot of things around the house that, you know, some projects that are outside are 30 years old. And a lot of them, the reality is, you know, 30 years takes its toll. So there's a lot of things around the property that are needing a real, like a major facelift, unfortunately. So I have to tackle that over the next couple of years, giving things a little facelift. So what was that last question?
Somebody asked, what is your favorite piece you've made out of the collection?
Out of the clay? Oh, that's a hard one, but let's see. Oh, yes, yeah. You have the space face pot, the face spot, the space spot face pot. Great. Hi, great. Thank you. I would say one of my most favorite pieces. I don't know if I can get it. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can pick it up. It's quite large, but I'll get it. Okay, so this, it's quite large. This is a Stag Beetle. Now, being that I was going to be an entomologist, I still have an interest in insects. So I made this. This is actually in a gallery upstate New York. So this is a Stag Beetle, and it's completely covered, it's glazed with my signature luster glazes. So you can see it is quite large. This is one of my most favorite pieces that I've ever made. So I'm gonna go put that back. It's a little bit heavy. Okay, here's another one of my favorite pieces. So it's a lobster, the rare blue lobster. And look at the color of this. There's like incredible iridescence on this. So this is the lobster that holds the secret. So if you can see, he's holding a padlock and a key in his claws. So this is another one that's one of my favorite pieces. So these sculptures that are, sort of like arthropods are probably my most favorite pieces to make. Anything that's sort of like insect or crustacean. Yeah, this one is amazing. So, and these are all for sale. So let me go back to, let's see, another.
We're going to talk about your mentoring too.
Oh, yes. Okay. So, yeah, so 6 years ago, I established a nonprofit foundation for Luna Parc with the help of some friends and family members. And we actually were able to acquire the house next door, which is our headquarters. And it's also where we house our visiting artists and interns. So through the foundation, we conduct workshops. We try to get grants so that we can have school groups come to visit. I have a contact with the art teacher in one of the districts in Jersey City. So we're gonna, the next step is to try to get kids from inner cities to come out to Luna Parc to do workshops and get their hands in cement and teach them how to do mosaics. So that's kind of the next step is kind of casting our net a little bit wider. We do a lot of work locally in Sussex County, and so that's and it's a nonprofit, so all donations are all tax deductible. So we do art education. That's kind of like our mission, is to revive hand skills that are being lost in this current age of digitization. And it's really shocking because I have an intern program where I invite college art students to come and spend 3 to 6 weeks here at Luna Parc. They live next door and they do all their work here on the property. Anything that's going on, it could be cementing bottles, it could be mosaic, it could be welding, ceramic, anything that's going on at any given time during the season is what they'd be working on. So that's been really great. We've had some wonderful interns, had interns from Pratt Art Institute of Chicago. We've had one from RISD. We had a couple from Temple. So it's kind of like this exchange. They come and be a part of what's going on here, and in turn, they're learning hand skills, which we find that a lot of kids don't really have hand skills these days, even coming from major institutions. We find that this is being lost, and so that's kind of like our main focus is the intern program. Now, ultimately, the function of the foundation is then to perpetuate Luna Parc after I've checked out, which will be many years from now, hopefully, and then operate Luna Parc as a museum and learning institution. So, but in the meantime, it's all about art education and mentoring young people, young artists, and maybe not so young. Also, we don't particularly discriminate, age, but our focus really is the college age art students that are really very specifically inclined to pursue art as a career. So that's, for me, if they're interested in pursuing art as a career, then I'm all about it. And I love that. And I do anything I can to coach them, to foster their creativity, anything they need. And then as far as afterwards also, we do a lot of like business training as well, how to support yourselves as working artists. And if it's any example of how I live my life, I really hope that our young students will be able to absorb some of that. So I saw a couple of questions come in. Brienne, do you know what they were?
I'll look, and I will just agree with that. When I first moved to the area, before I worked at Peters Valley, I worked for the ceramic artist Bennett Bean, and much like you, it was such a formidable experience in understanding how an artist lives, right? It went beyond, we were gardening, we were doing different things. He works in different media. And I have always told when we've had our summer assistants come through Peters Valley and then they've got to go on, right? And they need a job or something. I always say, like, work as a studio assistant, work for an artist if you're interested in that, because it is, to just see it on that level, I think really does so much for people's understanding.
Yeah, and working here at Luna Park, there's a lot going on here at all times, like literally 24/7. There's something going on. So, so they get a glimpse of, literally, like you said, everything that goes on to support an environment like this, or like Bennett. Bennett's got all kinds of things going on, and that's a wonderful experience for anyone that's worked for him. And it's funny that we've had I think I disappeared for a second.
I think you're back.
Okay.
I'm not sure if we've lost him for anybody. Has he frozen for anybody else?
Fostering young people as well.
So the comments, there's not so many questions. Somebody says, for those interested in this topic of losing craft / handwork, you may be interested in reading Daniel Pink's book, where he says the future is handcraft as jobs diminish. And then somebody else they had to go.
Yeah, when I had one intern in particular, and she was a furniture design major, and that I realized, and I was very excited about this when we were kind of talking about it. I was excited for her to start her internship here, and then I realized within a couple days that she had very, very few skills. So basically we were starting from scratch basically. And her interest really was in CAD, computer aided design, and 3D printing. Now the problem with that's all fine. And believe me, I am not a Luddite when it comes to technology. I understand technology is here to stay, but the problem with some of this, the CAD work, the CAD and 3D printing is that, you might design it here, but where does it go? Usually it goes elsewhere to be produced, usually, overseas somewhere. So for me, my mission is definitely, it's all about handwork and understanding how to create something literally from scratch. And for me, all the teachings of the foundation is all strictly about handworking skills that I really see. And I see a lot of young people who are starting to lose the dexterity in their hands. And I find that most young people do have an interest, but as many institutions, high schools, and so on, they're eliminating a lot of the tactile programs for actually making work. Now, I think that's what's great about institutions like Peters Valley or any of the other craft schools, Haystack, Penland, although it's all about hand working and very little of it is digital. And for me, I think right now, I think that's the most important thing, is to get back to some basic skills that are being lost.
I think too, like there's something about with the hand, like when you're talking about cat and stuff, like you have to develop that spatial understanding. Before, you know, you're designing something on a flat screen. So if you don't know what that tactile spatial object or size or scale, you know, like all of that, I think you don't get when you're just on a screen.
Yeah, and I think for me, I work in a lot of different media, so you know, I've understood very young, at a very young age, about like three-dimensionality and working in a variety of media also. And I think that's also important, is being well versed in a whole variety of media, which is why when the students come here, hi Daryl. Oh, Daryl was wonderful. I took a couple of weaving courses from Daryl, and that's one of my pastimes now, is doing some weaving. So, I've actually taught some of the students how to do some weaving, very basic weaving techniques. So, so that's been great to be a student of Daryl and her daughter Brianna.
Somebody also asked, before you were able to make a living as an artist, what jobs did you have?
You know what? Actually, I've never really had a regular full-time job. I did a couple like internships. They were paid internships. I had, you know, some summer jobs, mowing lawns and stuff like that. But otherwise, I was always able to make a living with my craft. Even in high school, I was starting to make jewelry and sell it. And that's how I kind of made, you know, my spending money, was making and selling jewelry. And then after RISD, I had an apprenticeship up in New Haven, Connecticut. And then since then, I've been supporting myself with my art since 1985, really, strictly 100%. It's completely, my entire existence, Luna Parc, everything was built 100% with my work, making and selling. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, somebody says they have a fun arts and crafts, ceramics and woodworking at Camp Walden on Trout Lake, just north of Lake George.
I don't know about that.
Ceramics, hand building, and kids love coming and do projects. And then Debbie Palmisano says thank you. She has to run, but she loves your head pots and hopes to visit the park. So I don't know. It is after 12. If anybody has questions for Ricky in general, or any of the specific pieces that we were showing you or that are on the website, you can also reach out to us at any time with any questions about any of those work. The work that we have on the gallery site will keep up, I think, through the holidays. So
great. And if anyone has any questions, that you can email me directly right through my website. Go to the contact page. If you had any question about anything that's going on here, open house, anything like that, yeah, feel free to send me an email. Great. Thank you. Well, thank you for the opportunity. It's been really fun.
So we can wait another minute or two if other people are having questions coming in and stuff. And Lakota, do you want to put in that YouTube link? There was this great drone video footage of Luna Parc that might show it a little more clearly than the Zoom did today. So we'll put that in the chat as well.
Great. Yeah, the drone video was made by a local young man, Nick Patrick, and Nick. Very, very talented. And he made this drone video probably, I think, about 3 years ago now. And really is wonderful, wonderful filmmaker. So definitely check that out.
And the fun thing is it's probably out of date already, right? Because I know I would go to Luna Parc at least once a year, and every time I came, there's multiple new projects to see. So keep coming.
Yeah, it changes every season. There's something else going on. So and, in fact, in about 45 minutes, I have tours coming. So today's a little open house day.
Oh, wonderful. And we've got this, we'll be next week joined by Robin Lennon, who has some beautiful clothing. I have a few scarves here I could probably pull out, but that'll also be fun. So I hope you'll all join us again next week as well at 11. And any other questions or anything for Ricky, you can put them in the chat, or you can put yourself on video now as well. You can, any last words anybody wants to say, feel free to unmute yourself and chime in.
Great. Okay, excellent. Very good. Well, I wish everyone a happy weekend, and thanks, Brienne.
Thank you too.
Oh,
Thanks
somebody
so much.
said, can anybody else come on a tour today?
Oh, yes. If they can, if they want, yeah, actually, the best is to call me at this point. But yeah, there's going to be tours at 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock today. So actually, I would say if you wanted, yeah, you can just show up. There is we asked for a donation of $25 per group. Yeah, if you wanted to show up at either 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, that would be fine.
And Norma, this is recorded and we will put it up on YouTube. So
Great.
you can check it out later as well. And thanks everyone.
Great. Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody. And hopefully we'll see you next week. So take care.
Wonderful. Bye.